Hi there, this is Brian with the Gwedo TTJ channel. Today we're going to be talking about exchanging money in Japan and money use in Japan. So sit back and hold tight. Now I'm going to preface this with a small disclaimer. Okay, so Gwedo TTJ is Gwedo the Tohoku journey. So most of my talks and stuff are about the area of Tohoku. Now, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about here, things to watch out for, is going to be related to the Tohoku area. Now, when it comes to paying in with your credit cards and different things like that, and money exchange in Tokyo, it's kind of a whole different story. But when we're talking about different areas that are outside of Tokyo and many different areas around Japan that are outside like the main area, and when I say Tokyo, I'm talking about like most of the suburbs and the different prefectures that are surrounding it. Once you get outside there, it's kind of a different place and there's different rules to follow. So I'm going to give this short disclaimer that when we talk about money changing, I'm going to gear it more specifically towards the Tohoku area. All right, so exchanging money for your trip in Japan. All right, contrary to popular belief, Japan, even in the airport, actually has reasonable rates for exchanging money. So even if you were to exchange all of your money in the airport for cash, you can pretty much get a really good rate, almost the same rate as that of a bank. So if you want to exchange your money at the airport, you can do that. And for slightly cheaper, like let's just say you're just visiting in Japan. If you're just visiting, try and find somebody you know that's in Japan that has a bank account with a Japanese bank. Not necessarily, not the post office. Post office is different, but someone that has like a Japanese bank account, and have them go and exchange the money for you, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Japanese banks only charge like 3% on all the money that you exchange with your currency. Another thing you can do is before you go, usually if you give your bank, if your bank is big enough, if you have like kind of a small hometown bank, they might not be able to get the currency. But if you have a more of a bigger chain, like if you were like Bank of America or like Wells Fargo or what is it? Whatever bank is like a kind of a federal bank that's in your country. If you give them usually a week or two notice that you're going to be going abroad, usually they can get the currency in and you can just exchange your money there before you go. So, and usually they also give you a really good exchange rate, somewhere around like 3% is all that they charge for that. So exchanging money for your trip to Japan is pretty simple. Now, one thing I will say to watch out for is, especially for people from the United States, those currency exchange places before you leave to go to Japan, they price gouge, and they price gouge really heavily. Yeah, so what I would say is that if you go to Japan and you decide to exchange in the airport at like Narita or Haneda or whatever airport you're going to, exchange there, and before you come back to the United States, try and exchange there as well for US currency. That would be your best bet, because US airports price gouge horribly, absolutely horribly. All right, so other places you can exchange money. So let's just say that you're out of the airport and now you're way into Japan and there's no way to get back to the airport to do a currency exchange. And let's say you don't have a friend living in Japan that has a bank account. You can go to Western Union. Now, Western Union does charge a little bit higher. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's somewhere between like 6 to 7%. So it's not as high as exchanging currency in the United States at the airport, and it's not as cheap as exchanging it at the airport or at the airport in Japan or at a Japanese bank. But if you need to exchange money, that's a place you can do it. So I would look for like a Western Union if you need that. So places that have the best rates. Banks will have the best rates out of all places you can possibly go to. So if you're looking to save as much money with however much money you're going to be changing, banks are the best place to do that. If what is it? You are looking for to do like a quick one-time transaction, you can go to Western Union. That would be your next choice besides going to the airport and doing currency exchange there. And then if you are absolutely desperate to get money and you're in a U.S. airport, like if you're in the U.S. airport, let's just say you're snowed in or your flight is canceled and you have to stay the night, you have no cash on you and you have to do a currency exchange, I would say go there and do it there. But I wouldn't recommend doing that unless it's like something of dire need. So, when it comes to Japan and Japan with using cash, most places outside of that Tokyo area, like I said in the disclaimer, are completely cash driven. Like there are a lot of places you will go to that they won't accept anything but cash. Like you could drop down a Visa, a MasterCard, American Express. You could even drop down the Japanese JCB and they're like, cash only. So be prepared that a lot of the places you go to, especially like those hometown restaurants or like the Japanese style restaurants, some of them don't even take credit cards. You better be paying in cash. And it's completely normal. Like your businessman, just your average guy in a suit carrying a briefcase, some of them businessmen carry like the equivalent of like $1,000 with them at all times wherever they're going. So Japan carries cash with them all the time. And as an example, like I've had about $200 in my wallet, and my wallet fell out of my pocket. Okay, so I get a call from the local police box, not the police department, but kind of like a small city branch that they had, because the Japanese police offices are. They're not like specific to a city. Usually it's for like the entire prefecture. So their prefecture is kind of like a state patrol rather than like a city cop. So this police box, as they call it, called me because they had my wallet and they said, hey, we think you dropped your wallet. And I'm like, oh crap. Because in the US, you drop your wallet, like all your credit cards, all your cash, everything is gone. So they called me and I was like, so they asked me, so how much money did you have in your wallet? And I told them the amount that was in there. And they're like, oh, okay, we'll come down and pick it up. So I went down and picked it up, and sure enough, all of my money was still in my wallet. So don't be surprised that if you drop your wallet or drop anything like that, that it's at one of those police boxes or those little small police stations in the area, and it still has all your money, credit cards, and everything. So it's completely normal in Japan. But as we talk about like their cash-driven society, just be prepared when you're outside of Tokyo to basically not be able to pay for anything without just paying in cash. Just make sure you just have the cash on hand. That's the best thing to do. And credit card culture in Japan. So, like I said, this is the outside of the Tokyo area. So when you're in like Tohoku, or if you're in like Shikoku, or you're in Kyushu, most people, though they are smiling and happy when you're in their store to buy something, if you pull out a credit card to pay for something, even though they're still smiling on the inside, they're a little peeved, because in Japan, like a credit card is something that you'd use in an emergency. So let's just say like you're snowed in, you can't get back home and you need to stay at a hotel. You would use your credit card to pay for the hotel. And if you were at a restaurant and let's just say you're snowed in and you need to get food for the night, sometimes people would apologize and say, hey, I have to use my credit card because I got snowed in and I didn't have enough cash on me. I didn't get to the bank in time to get enough cash. So, and then at that point, it's okay. But if you're just kind of just throwing your credit card around just to pay for everything, you might get some frowns from people, or you might get half smiles instead. So that's something I would watch out for in Japan. Try to pay in cash. Cash is the best way to go. try to limit the amount of times you use your credit card. Also, depending on which credit card you're using and what kind of plan you have in your credit card, you may be accruing fees for every time you use your credit card. So sometimes there's the fee for using your credit card, and then your bank might make you pay another 3% on top of that for using your credit card internationally. And when you go international, you need to notify the credit card company that you're taking your card with you over to Japan. And don't be surprised if it gets flagged a lot, because you might be calling them every now and then, especially if you're traveling around a lot, saying, hey, you blocked my credit card again. I'm in this city and I tried to buy something, sort of thing. You might be doing that a lot. So it might be better just to bring cash instead. All right. So this is Brian with the Gwedo TTJ channel and Traveler's Tips, and I hope this helped out a lot, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.